cafe hadn't changed. Same soft hum of chatter, same faded smell of roasted beans and rain-soaked pavement. I sat at our usual table by the window, the one that always let in too much morning light. You once said the sun made my eyes look softer. I never forgot that. I glanced at the chair across from me. Empty. Just like it always was lately. The waiter brought me a cup before I even ordered. He knew the routine. A quiet kindness I didn't ask for but appreciated. Outside, people passed by with umbrellas and laughter, living in a rhythm that didn't include me. My coffee steamed in the cup, tiny swirls of warmth I knew wouldn't last. You were late again. But I didn't mind. Not really. I'd grown used to waiting for you. In cafes, in messages, and memories. When the bell above the door chimed, my chest tightened before I even looked up. And there you were. Hair slightly messy from the rain. That same gray coat you wore the last time we fought. You smiled. A little unsure. As if you weren't sure you were allowed to. You apologized for being late. I said it was fine. Because it always was. You ordered your caramel latte, though you once swore off caffeine because it made your heart race. I guess old habits are hard to kill. When you sat down, it was both familiar and foreign. You looked older somehow, or maybe just distant. But when your eyes met mine for a second, it felt like nothing had changed. I wanted to tell you I missed you. Instead, I asked about work. You laughed, and I pretended not to notice how your voice still felt like home. We talked about safe things. How your new apartment was smaller than expected. How my job was the same, steady but dull. I told you I'd picked up painting again. You said you were glad. You used to tease me for drawing sad faces. Now you just nodded quietly. The silence between our words grew heavier. It wasn't uncomfortable. Just heavy with things left unsaid. Every laugh felt rehearsed, every glance too careful. You looked around like you were searching for something to hold on to. But your gaze never landed on me for long. You asked, "Are you happy?" And I lied before I even realized it. "I am," I said, forcing a smile. You smiled back. "That's good." But the truth sat there, bitter and unspoken. I wasn't. Not since you left. Your phone buzzed. Once. Twice. You hesitated before checking it. I told myself I didn't care, but I did. You smiled down at the screen, soft and genuine, the kind of smile I hadn't seen in a long time. It wasn't for me. And that was the moment I knew. You slipped the phone back into your pocket, trying to hide the blush that touched your cheeks. I looked away, pretending to fix my sleeve, pretending it didn't feel like something inside me cracked open quietly. The sunlight caught the faint gold on your finger. A ring. Maybe a promise. Maybe just jewelry. I didn't ask. I didn't want to hear the answer. The coffee between us was cooling, untouched. A mirror to the warmth that used to fill this space. You checked the time and said you had to go soon. I nodded like it was expected. Like I hadn't spent days wondering what I'd say if we had more time. You stood up, gathered your things, and smiled that polite smile. The one that says, "Thank you for what we had, but it's over now." "It was nice seeing you," you said softly. "Yeah," I whispered, "you too." When the door closed behind you, the cafe felt too big, too quiet. I looked down at my cup. The coffee had gone cold, untouched, forgotten. Just like the promises we once made. I lifted it anyway, tasted the bitterness, and almost laughed. It was exactly how I felt inside. The waiter came by and asked if I wanted a refill. I shook my head. I wasn't thirsty anymore. I just wanted to sit there a little longer, to breathe in what was left of you in the air, the faint scent of your perfume, the ghost of your laughter, the warmth you took with you. Outside, the rain had stopped, but I didn't move. I traced the rim of my cup and thought about all the times I stayed, through fights, silences, distance. Maybe I stayed because leaving never felt like closure. Maybe I stayed because loving you was something I never learned how to stop doing. As the cafe lights dimmed, I finally stood up. My seat was still warm, the coffee was cold, and my heart, somewhere between both. Sometimes love doesn't end with goodbye. Sometimes it just lingers, long after the cup's gone empty. And sometimes, even when the coffee goes cold, you stay. Sometimes love doesn't end with goodbye. Sometimes it just lingers, even when the coffee's gone cold.